Hello everyone, it's Maha. Thank you so much for being with me today. I am very excited to be with all of you today because I want to share with you a very special and unique deck, one that I've had my eyes on for a long time. That is the Tyldwick Tarot deck. Wow, just the box itself. So this is a highly unique and imaginative deck. It's one that I feel at this point really ready to work with, and that I wasn't quite ready to work with before. In my tarot journey, I feel like I've grown and matured to a level where I want decks that stimulate my imagination, decks that are different and allow for a different perspective, and I really feel that this deck does that does all of those. Now, the concept of this deck is very fascinating to me. So the idea is that the cards represent actual living spaces. So there are no human beings or no living creatures in this deck present. It is a deck that only looks at space and translates this idea of the archetypal energies playing out in each card into an imaginary space. And that is what I also love about the deck, because it is an imaginary place. So this mansion or palace becomes sort of a metaphor for going within. It's one of those decks that really asks you to walk into it. I feel that this deck offers a kind of threshold experience where just opening the deck itself, just opening the box, is almost like opening this amazing door to this palace or mansion where each card represents a corner, a room, or even a garden within this imaginary space. This home or this mansion or palace is not an actual place. It is an imaginary place. And I can't wait to just show you this deck. I don't want to go through all the cards. I just want to kind of introduce you to this deck and show you that it's out there and how I feel about it and express my enthusiasm for this. So it is a deck that was published in 2013 by Malpertuis Publishing. And the creator's deck is not, unfortunately, on the box, and there's no guidebook with it. So I'm going to post a link in the description menu for the creator's website where you can have a look at all the cards, and I will obviously state his name, which I cannot recall at the moment. So when I got this deck, one thing that I really felt special about, it made me feel special, that it came with an envelope that contains an actual printed certification of you with the deck number, your name. So my name, certified holder of the Tyldwick Tarot deck number, and then the designs. It's a nice thing to have, it's a nice gesture. And then you also get this letter from the Malpertuis design in London, which just gives you, it's like a certificate, so I love that, because personally, having worked in the service industry for almost all my life, I really appreciate these little touches and these gestures of kindness, kind of, that make you feel like you are getting something really special. It makes the deck even more elegant to me. So, oh my gosh, I am so excited about this deck. It is gorgeous, and it has sort of really quiet, I don't know how else to explain it, but really quiet energy. It's sitting there for me to grab it and work with it and really get into the cards. I really feel that I'm really going deep with this deck. So it's got the beautiful gilded edging, gold edging. And this is the backing. Oh, and the cardstock is beautiful. The size is great. It's sort of a bit wider than Los Garbeo or standard RWS. This is the back of the cards. So the artist has taken pictures from different sources and pictures that he's taken himself and kind of put them together to create this imaginary space. And I think that's just such a unique and creative idea. And I personally love that there are no humans or any living creatures, because in a way it's like, it kind of reminds me of dreams and dream work, where you are the one experiencing these energies. And I recently discovered that in dreams, the house represents the body. So to me, this deck is also, in a way, a metaphor for my own inner landscape. So each room, each angle, each viewpoint, each garden almost becomes like a space within me and how I relate to that space. So for the minor arcana, you have a general color tone that distinguishes the suit. So as you can see here, you have kind of the orangey here, that's the fire element. The water element is here, the blue, and then this should be water. This one should be water. And then you have the air element here. It's very kind of clear. And then this is the earth. It's kind of like the rusty browny tones. So it's beautiful. And then like right there, you can see that. And then the majors are sort of multicolored. It's got that kind of old rusty feel to it, which I really appreciate. It's like I said, it's a quiet deck. It adds to that experience of going within that stillness, stillness of space. And I'm going to show you some of the cards. I'm going to switch the camera in a moment and show you some of the cards. Just wanted to quickly see if there's anything that pops up for me. Right, so I'm going to switch the camera now and we'll go have a look at the cards together. Have a look at the cards. So before I show you the cards, I just wanted to show you this little stone here that my mom found on her walk the other day. Actually, she found it on pretty much a day after I got this deck. And the colors of the stone, they're kind of like bronze and black. And it really blends well with this deck. And I love that to me, it looks like the evil eye. It's a heavy stone. And I just really loved sitting with this deck since I got it. So here is the Magician. And so you see that altar here with all the tools of the Magician. And then there's a quilt hanging on the wall with sort of a puppet scene in the background. And the patterns on the ground. So it's kind of interesting. The patterns repeat sometimes in certain cards that kind of also reflect the backing of the card. So you see also the patterns here on the floor. This is the High Priestess, the altar with sort of this ancient Egyptian goddess figure, which I think is Isis, and then the two candles. So you have a scene presented with each card. The scene that kind of takes you in as if you're standing in front of it. Here's the Empress, and then there's this lush garden with this fountain that looks like a goddess. So there's that nature quality. You're standing outside in the garden. Beautiful. cards are not in order, by the way. This is the moon card. I get the really lightness of moonstone, actually. There's a mirror here, which to me kind of reminds me of reflection and that symbol of the water as the mirror. And then there's two symbols. There's a lot of symbolism here, and this kind of reminds me of the moon card. This lobster or creature here. And I love the color of the Hierophant card, or sorry, the Hermit card. And there's that lantern there. I haven't studied the symbolism closely yet, and in fact, that's one of the reasons why I wish this deck had a guidebook, because there are certain symbols. I just wonder, what was the story behind the cards? What was the creator thinking, or the artist thinking, and what went into it? I'm just really curious and interested in the symbolism. As an artist myself, I'm often interested in the process, not just the final work, not just the final piece, but the process of the making and what went into it. So here's the tower. And I love that there's a glass. It looks like you're looking out and the glass is shattered. There's a glass shattered, and there's these masks here. It's just so interesting. There's a lot to look at. There's a lot to see. I love the Devil card. Wow, look at that dark mirror there. Love the frame of that. And so the colors are really beautiful. There's this kind of antique feel to them. This is the Death card. It doesn't have a title, it just has a number on the bottom for this one in particular. And there's a skeleton there, and the clock. Wow, a lot of symbolism. I don't want to talk too much about the cards because I want you to kind of watch and reflect on your own. There's the Sun card, and so there's the sunflowers, and it looks like a sun god, a Hindu sun god. The Judgement card, this one came up when I did a reading for a friend of mine who was over the other night, and I initially thought that this deck would be only for me to work with, like a personal deck that I would use to meditate and contemplate on. But she really was attracted to the images, so she wanted me to do a reading for her using this deck, and I did. And this card came up, and she just went off. Like, she just found so much in here, and it really spoke to her. The images really spoke to her, and she told me she loves that kind of antique quality of these cards, the colors. Not everyone does. I find it adds to that subtlety of this deck, to that kind of quietness or stillness that comes with these cards and the spaces that they invite us into. And I'm going to show you some of the minor arcana cards. This is the Two of Swords. Again, you can see all the cards if you go on the website individually. You can have a look at them. I love that cage and the bird, and there's that empty room, that empty space. I personally love that quality of empty space that you see in a lot of these cards. Here is the Four of Swords, and actually there's another, this is really interesting. There's a symbol here that is repeated in the swords. There's in that window, and then there's that same symbol here in that window. I don't know if I can bring it closer, if it makes a difference, but there is that symbol, and I don't know what that symbol is or how it represents. It's repeating throughout the swords. It's written on the wall. It's kind of like, painted here, like stamped on the wall, and then it reflects on the window. I contacted the artist of this deck when originally when I first was asking if these images were based on an actual space. Here's that symbol again right here. It's very faint. And this is the Nine of Swords. And he told me that there's a forum where you can talk about the symbolism, and And unfortunately, there's no guidebook for it. And he told me that, yes, these spaces are created, they are imaginary. So they're not like what I thought, they're not actual spaces. And he also said that the name of the Tyldwick Tarot, he wanted to choose a very British name, so he named it the Tyldwick Tarot. This is the Two of Cups, and I love that outside, being outside in the garden, in the nature, that sense of harmony and balance and symmetry, beauty. I feel like I can even hear music when I look at this card. I love this one too. Three of Cups. It's just, it really opens up the imagination for me. I can just go into the cards and get an actual experience, actual feeling of not just emotional feeling, but I can sense the air, I can get sounds, like I said, the sound of music, and smells come from me. Just some clarity. It feels like a universal space that I've visited before, through dreams or even through my visits and travels. And there's some writing here, some Latin writing. There's a lot in these images, and I love this. This was Six of Cups. This is Nine of Cups. Perfume bottles lined up. I love that sense of luxury. Five of Cups. This is a really great image. It reminds me of some photo-based images that I've done before, where you juxtapose different photographs on top of each other. So there's this building here in the background, and if you look closely, if you actually look at the card, it looks like there's water on the ground. So you see reflections of water, and then the trees are kind of like ghost-like in a way. There's a lot of layers in this card in particular. This one is my favorite. Two of Staves, Two of Wands. This is one of the cards that I remembered when I first saw this deck, and when I was thinking of getting it, this is the one card that I just thought was so perfect for the Two of Wands. In an abstract way, I feel like this deck is definitely an advanced deck. A deck to work with if you're an advanced reader or intermediate. Three of Staves. There's the ship in a glass case, on the dresser, in a bedroom kind of. So this reminds me of a bedroom of a child, like a young adolescent boy maybe, or girl, wanting to discover the world, wanting to learn. Has that very kind of yang energy. That's why I said boy, but it could be boy or girl. Here is Four of Staves, and I love this one. Paintbrush, paint palette. I hope the colors are okay on this camera. Very hard to film this deck because it's just got such subtle colors. This is the Two of Coins, and with the Earth cards, you have this sort of really earthy color tone. Sometimes I find that you might get a little lost. By the way, I love the idea of pulleys and the forces, like the opposite forces with the Two of Coins. And then there's a pot hanging, very earth-based. So the Ten of Coins, this is what I'm talking about. You can get kind of lost in the patterns and the colors. For example, here, look at the backing. And then, I don't know, I wanted to pick cards that in the earth suit that stick out, and these ones did. But hang on, let me show you some examples. So here, this is what I mean. Just generally looking at it overall, they don't stand out as much. And you also have this border here that's very textured brown border, which kind of, it blends too much. I find with the earth element, I find that it's not so much with the water and the air element, even the fire element, but with the earth, it kind of gets to be too much texture. I don't know how to explain it better than that. You know what I mean? Too much texture going on, so it's hard to see what that is exactly or what's going on. I love the texture. It's very earthy, but it does get, that's my only thing, is that it does get a bit lost. And you do have, like, for example, if you have these two cards next to each other, and you do have to really go in close to see what's going on. And so that might be distracting for some people, and I don't mind them. I mean, I love this deck, so, but I just wanted to point that out. For example, this is the Fool, and by the way, there's butterflies there, and then there's that geometric design again, which repeats throughout the deck. And so that's what I was talking about. It could get lost. What you have there could get lost. There's that clown coming through. Could get lost with the repeated designs, with the textures. Like, I want to say, in a way, that some cards have too much texture and too much patterns that the eye gets lost and doesn't have space to find stillness. Whereas with some cards, you have a lot of that space and stillness. So maybe that was done intentionally. For example, this one here is just the Three of Swords. I love this. I love the Suit of Swords in this deck. And I was particularly interested to see how the court cards are interpreted in this deck. So here we have Page of Swords, Knight of Swords, Queen of Swords, King of Swords. So there's a kind of overall similarities between them. You have this arch. Let's look at them individually. So it's like a progression. There you have this arch, and it's outside, and then you have all the court cards have a picture of a person. So this one is like a young boy with a sculpture of the youthful adolescent, like sculptures. And then the knight takes you inside, sometimes inside a room. Actually, for the knight and the king, they're inside. And so you have that altar, that kind of, is it a fireplace? Yeah, and then you have an image of a young man. And here, for the queen, you go outside again, and there's the swans, and then you have strings there. Harp. And then it's like the sort of lake or water. There's a lot going on, but it's very airy. It's light. You have the flamingos, actually. I said swans, but they are flamingos. It's kind of hard to see. That's what I mean. I haven't really examined this deck yet closely. I will. And I wanted to share this deck with you as an opportunity to kind of look at it closely myself as well. And then you have the king takes you inside with the peacock feather, so there's still that element of air. Here you have the flamingos and the peacock, and then shiny porcelain, like very elegant glass. And see the design of the room shown corresponding to the court card or the character, and also the objects used really reflect the personality of the individual card. So for the King of Swords, you have butterflies here. There's just a collection of imagery, and then the ground is kind of this checkered, really clean, with the element of air. It's as opposed to really earthy. Here it's really clean. You've got lightness, you've got feathers. Here's a fan. I just noticed that. Span out. Yes. So there we go. That's all I'm gonna say. I hope that you enjoyed this short little video and a quick peek at this deck. And I would love to know your thoughts. And hopefully this video actually turned out well. I have to check out the card colors. They're really glossy, so it's hard to see that, but you know, there's a lot of texture in these cards, and they're very elegant overall. So thank you so much for watching. As always, I'm sending you lots of love, everyone. Take care and many blessings. See you in the next video. Bye.